Okay, how's it going, everybody? My name is Jason. I'm the guy that makes this channel, and today I wanted to delve into some of the symbolism found at the Denver airport and the Bank of America headquarters. I'm going to start on the Denver International Airport because this one's pretty damn creepy, if you ask me. Now, what you're looking at right here, this is a mural painted on display at the Denver airport, and as you can see here, we have this sinister looking soldier. If you notice, the uniform this guy's wearing looks suspiciously similar to a Russian soldier's uniform. He's also carrying something that looks quite a bit similar to a Kalashnikov, an AK-47 rifle. And he's holding a scimitar, which is typically a weapon that you would find in the Middle East. However, you will also find this being wielded by the Tartars. Okay, they are a steppe people, mounted horsemen, knights, if you will. Now, my take on this, and I'm pretty good at decoding their symbolism. Basically, what this is saying is that it's a collusion between varying ethnic groups that you don't think are related, but are actually the same people. This is why the rainbow is depicted right here, because they come in all colors of the rainbow. And you might be asking yourself, well, who the hell, who are these people? They're the Canaanites, okay? Knights, Canaanites. The only reason I know this stuff is because I was raised in a cult of Canaanites. My entire family worships Satan. I'm literally the only one of them that's not part of this massive conspiracy to enslave humanity. And I'm not well liked for it. I've been basically completely abandoned by my family. They all hate me because I'm diligently working to expose this stuff, because I think it's disgusting. I honestly think what my family's involved in is deplorable. Now, a little brief background on my family. I'm of Italian and German heritage, supposedly. My grandfather's side, you can trace our lineage all the way back to the Roman equestrian class, knights. My last name can be translated to mean slave trader, because that is one of the typical industries you will find the Canaanite bloodlines involved in, is the slave trade. And right now, they're working to enslave you. As difficult of a pill that is to swallow, it's absolutely what they're doing. And this is why they're depicting, the dove right here. This is peace on the tip of the scimitar. They're basically saying they're going to take over the world, and you're going to know nothing but pain and sadness as your entire life revolves around nothing but the worship of the Canaanite pantheon of false gods. And this is where things get kind of weird, kind of biblical. The Canaanites worship the Grigori because we are Nephilim. We are descendants of the Grigori. As weird as that sounds, this is the cult that I was raised in. Its beliefs, and I've seen strange things that are beyond human comprehension, and I know this stuff to be real, and it all goes back to Babylon, Sumer, even Atlantis. The New Atlantis. That's what this is a depiction of, the New Atlantis, described by Sir Francis Bacon, who is likely related to me through my grandmother's side, whose maiden name was Beauvais, which, if you look into the House of Windsor, the British royal family, Princess Diana, I believe it was her mother's maiden name was Beauvais. She is like a distant cousin of mine. I'm 42. I mean, she would have been in her 50s. I personally don't believe she's even dead. Honestly, they have a tendency to, if they get sick of the limelight, they just fake their own deaths and continue living another life, another lie, because that's what they do. Now, another thing, and people don't realize this, the Nazis, they weren't killing Jews. It was Canaanites killing Christians. Okay, that's the Nazi or Ashkenazi Jews, which are known as converses, which is a sect of steppe people, Tartars, Canaanites, that converted to Judaism. And this has been going on long before the Ashkenazis, the lost tribes, the 10 lost tribes of Israel. Israel meaning Saturn in Phoenician, and is the source of the English word Satan. They are trying to bring back our grand patriarch, Kronos, Satan. They worship Satan, and I found Christ. I came to a realization that the people that I trusted growing up are just a bunch of sick and twisted monsters that engage in foul practices such as human sacrifice, which I've been present at one of these rituals, as well as other disturbing acts. I once had let's just say I had a relative, I don't want to say exactly who it is, bragging to me about how he killed a 2-year-old girl and raped her and then ground her into hamburger. And at the time, I was eating a burger that had been prepared specifically for me, which did not taste like any kind of burger I'd ever had before, because it was a child. My own family had me eating a child. I still weep about this, and I've been asked, well, why didn't you call the police? And the thing is, you people don't realize how prolific and how integrated the Lost Tribes are. The Mossad's logo, their slogan is wage war through deception, and that's what they've been doing. Their empire failed. It's failed repeatedly, honestly. They've had their hands in the cookie jar, so to speak, for every major world empire. The word empire being a derivative of the word imp. Imp meaning devil. Any empire is a Canaanite devil demon worshipping society. And this is why on the back of the dollar bill here in the United States we have a depiction of a pyramid with the all-seeing eye of providence. However, the eye of providence that is so depicted as being the eye of God, and what they're not telling you is that their God is Satan. Okay? The eye of providence is they call a star, which stars aren't what they claim them to be. NASA means to deceive in Hebrew, if you look into it. The star Fomalhaut, if you Google that, looks exactly like the eye of Sauron. And Sauron is another derivative of the word Saturn. Satan. The eye in the sky, if you will, is Satan, the demiurge of Gnosticism. That which is worshipped as God, but is not God, but was simply a tool used by God during the 6 days of creation that somehow went off, branched out on its own, let's say, and this is what is worshipped in secret by the elite, and it's absolutely real. You can look this up on Google. It's quite disturbing, in all honesty. But let's get back, to the topic at hand here. This is going to be a long video, and I have extremely slow internet, so it's going to take quite a while to upload, and it's likely going to be one of my last videos because I'm fairly certain I'm going to be murdered here in the very near future. I've had some of my relatives tell me if I like Jesus so much, well, let's see how much I like being nailed to a cross like Jesus. That's how hardcore my people are. They are extremely gangster. Extremely gangster. And I used to really think they were awesome until I started to realize it's my idea of a gangster is, Scarface, no women, no children, but that's not how it is. It's anything to turn a profit at this point. The entire code of ethics is gone at this point, Like, I had the opportunity, I could have, been part of Murder Inc., which is one of the nicknames for the Italian Jew collaboration mafia that rules the world. The Khazarian mafia, if you will, which is completely spread across the entire face of the globe to the point where, by my estimation, I would say at least 20 to 30% of the world's population I am directly related to by blood, by virtue of having been born into this bloodline. Okay, one of the hallmarks of our bloodline is Rh negative factor. I'm type O negative. It's as crazy as this sounds. This is the angelic bloodline. I'm a descendant of one of the 200 Grigori fallen, which I'm not really too keen on because I'm not an evil person. I don't like evil. I understand it's necessary. I mean, I'm a Taoist, we like to say that we're beyond good and evil, and if you've never read the Tao Te Ching and you're a Christian, when I say Christian, I mean somebody that believes in the one true God that incarnated as man, that was Yahuwah ben Yosef, Jesus. This is a tough topic for me to discuss. I keep getting death threats. My entire life has been a lie. Like, I've been completely misdirected and lied to by my very family, because the way that it goes, like, they put you through this series of tests as you're growing up, to determine whether or not you're trustable and responsible enough to be given the great secrets of our lineage, which I wasn't. I like to drink and party and get into fist fights and stuff like that. I was a wild child. And they, never really brought me into the fold. However, you're not going to find any sort of scholastic or academic documentation with apropos of this particular tidbit of information, but there is a racial memory that exists that under certain circumstances allows you to access the Jungian collective unconsciousness, the Akashic record, the logos. Basically, this is like the psychic internet that mankind had access to before the fall, and a lot of information that I should not be aware of. It just bleeds into my mind, as crazy as that sounds, and I have no way of showing or proving any of this to any of you, so you're just gonna have to take my word for it. And if you don't believe me, that's fine. I'm not really here to argue. I'm just here to kind of share with you guys a little bit of information in the hopes that when my twisted, evil family begins to finalize the endgame scenario to enslave the world, you guys might have a little bit of knowledge on how to resist it, So, back to the Denver airport. Here we have depiction. This is out front of the Denver airport. They have a massive horse with red glowing eyes. It's blue veins, blue buds. It's the Ivy League, and when I say Ivy, I don't mean like Ivy. I mean like the letter I, the letter V, because it's a reference to blood. Blue bloods, because a lot of the upper echelon members of this death cult are literal blood drinkers. This is why scripture talks about it's a sin to, drink blood, because this is a Canaanite practice. The Mongols practice this, Mongols being another Canaanite empire. The Romans, the British, the Aryan race, the Orion race, if you will. They also have a Masonic capstone because they're a Canaanite organization. They're the mob. They're the real mob. They're the big mob that's enslaving you all because they're into some real twisted, sick shit. I'd like to be able to zoom in on this, but I'm not going to go too deeply into the symbolism on this, but as you can see, it's nothing pretty. Remember, this is a mural. It's publicly seen by tens of thousands of people a week. Like, I went out here to check it out, and there was kids looking at this, just scratching their heads, wondering what the literal hell this is about. And this is them putting it right in your face. This is them putting it right in your face that this is what they intend to do. Okay, this right here, this is a representation of all the different branches of our family tree. All the different twisted, sickened people that practice witchcraft, child sacrifice, cannibalism, ritualistic sex magic. All sorts of fun stuff. Basically, what they're trying to say to you guys, to all you people that aren't part of this bloodline, is you're either going to be their slave or they're going to kill you. They have every intention of wiping the true Jews, the ones that actually worship God and not Satan, as well as the Christians, certain sects of Islam that are, true to the faith and not the cube god worship of Saturn. Here we see the airport from a top view. If you look closely at it, there's swastikas all throughout it. Half a dozen creepy gargoyles everywhere. The floor looks like the inside of a Masonic temple. When I look at this stuff, it makes me want to cry, because I know what this stuff's about. I know what it's talking about. This video is getting pretty long, so I'm just going to flip over to the Bank of America, which the Bank of America is actually the Bank of Italy. They changed the name after the San Francisco earthquake to, look better. They wanted Americans putting their money in the coffers of the international Satan cartel that is the Vatican. Vatican's real big. My family's super Catholic, like evil, super evil Catholics. Like, I used to always ask my grandparents why there was all these photos of them throughout the years meeting with Pope John Paul II. There was half a dozen photos of my grandparents hanging out with Pope John Paul II. Now, I don't know how many of you are Trump supporters, but a few years back, Trump tried to get a meeting with the current Pope and was denied because they said he was too busy. My grandparents had met with the Pope dozens of times for some reason. And whenever I'd ask about it, they would just laugh and, tell me, oh, you ask too many questions. And, any efforts I had made into looking into certain questions I had about my upbringing and my family and why it seemed like there was so much weird stuff happening in my family, and why there was always just strange things about my family and my family history. But I was always kept in the dark and always told, you're asking too many questions. They didn't want me learning about this stuff. They used to call me Ratatouille growing up a lot, which I'm not talking about the Pixar or whatever movie about the rat chef or whatever, but the word Ratatouille means somebody that stirs up controversy, okay? One of the disciplines studied by my family is chronomancy, which is the study of omens, like tarot. I'm literally one of the most prolific tarot card readers you would ever see. I knew how to read them without ever having to study it. I just know the symbolism because it goes back to the racial memory. But I don't do any tarot anymore. I ripped them up and burned them. The only divination I'll use is Uman and Thuman, which is the only form of divination that was allowed by God Almighty, which is using two stones, one black and one white, one representing yes, one representing no. That was the only form of divination that God was cool with, because chronomancy involves some seriously disgusting practices. Like, if you want to know how gross real magic is, you can look up a book called The Pikatrix, and I'm not saying not the one on Amazon. You got to find one that's a direct translation of the Arabic original, and look at what some of these spells comprise of. Like using the flesh of children and human feces. I know a lot of you watching this are gonna scoff at my claim that magic is real, but it is. It's applied chaos dynamics. It's literally game theory, chaos theory. You know, it's manipulating causality at the quantum level. It's hard to explain, and no, I'm not gonna demonstrate it. I'm not gonna. I know some stuff, but I don't mess with it. It's weird and it creeps me out, and I don't like messing with it. I don't mess with any of the occult stuff anymore. That's why I have Ephesians 5:11 down here. Have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. And it's going to cost me my life. I'm likely going to be nailed to a cross and burned alive, because they like to. That's what they like to do to people that they consider traitors. They like to do murder them in a similar fashion to what happened to Yahuwah ben Yosef, Christ. You know, they don't like it when people don't pay homage to their false deity. You know, he's not God. That's not where your soul came from. And that's another thing, like, you know, like when I was raised, they would always say things like, you know, jinn don't have souls, and because that's another one of the names for the Canaanites is the jinn. And I was always told I didn't have a soul, but anyone can build a soul, even if you're not born with a soul, you know, through good deeds and love, and, you know, sharing. You build one. You know, you're born with a seed of a soul, and you got to nurture that seed in order for it to grow. And this is why, you know, Christ was saying that, you know, some of the seeds, you know, are going to grow, where others are going to wither and die, and still others are going to be burned. And that goes back to Christ telling Noah about the next time around, it's not going to be a flood. The flood was literally a love tap. That was God showing kindness, you know, in a way. But that world that he destroyed back then was so foul and so disgusting. It was a literal empire of vampire witches, and human beings were nothing but cattle, and they're trying to bring back this world. This is the world they want to bring back, you know, and it's absolutely disgusting, you know. But I'm looking at this video. It's already 27 minutes long, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make another video about this Bank of America symbolism tomorrow, based on whether or not people actually watch this video. I had a channel that had, you know, a fairly large amount of subscribers, and it was banned because I began talking about certain things that they're doing right now that is just so foul, so horrible. They're literally trying to enslave all of you. I will put a link. I can't even say what this link is to, because it might get my channel banned, but if you want to know what I'm talking about, I'll put a link over to my BitChute channel, to one of the videos that I had uploaded on my YouTube originally that had gotten the channel banned. There's a lot of bad stuff going on in the world right now, and it all has to do with this. Right here. Has everything to do with this staircase. I want you to remember that. If I get 250 views on this video by tomorrow, I'll explain the symbolism right here. It has everything to do with the Book of Enoch. Well, everybody, my name is Jason. I'm going to end up being a human sacrifice. And you're going to end up being enslaved if you don't stop this.